All right, good people. What is good? What is good? Back with another Sunday Sunbelt Week 2 wrap up. We're gonna wrap it up with talking about some scores, give you my thoughts and opinions on some of these games, and hopefully down the road, week 3 or whatever, I'll have this a little bit better where I have like more numbers on the screen because I'm just using the ESPN.com website. So if you want to check out this in total, you can check out the website over there if you want to look at all the highlights of what happened in the Sun Belt. So we're going to start off with Southern Miss going to Tallahassee. They played Florida State. Florida State has bounced back big time. I mean, they're looking like a really good team that could be a problem in the national for the national title. You know, it could disrupt some things. What a bounce back! I mean, it's just a bounce back performance from Florida State, but it's not about them talking about the Sun Belt. Uh, Southern Miss just could not get it going. I mean, they just couldn't. You're going up against the number 4 team in the country, and you see what the score looks like, 66-13. Not much to hang your hat on. Pretty much Clark had 86 yards rushing, which is fairly impressive. And we'll just leave it at that. Southern Miss will be going. I think they start conference play next week. I'm not necessarily sure, but we'll keep you guys posted on that. Troy, one of the top teams in the West of the Sun Belt, went up against Kansas State, and K State dropped them 42-13, and pretty good. I watched a little bit of this game, and Troy, it didn't. The scoreboard doesn't really show what really happened here. Troy did fight very hard. It's just that K State was just a better team, and their quarterback is pretty good over there. I mean, Howard is not that bad at all. It looks pretty good. Now we're going to talk about this game that happened in with Chapel Hill. North Carolina beats Appalachian State. Another crazy game happened last year. I think the game went up into the 60s. This year it went to double overtime, 40-34. North Carolina holds on to beat Appalachian State. App State is just another formidable team. I mean, what can you say? These guys can go toe to toe with anybody, whether it be Power 5 or Group of 5. Kind of similar to what we have down here at Georgia Southern. And it just shows you that, look, man, it was a hard-fought battle. I don't too much care for Appalachian State. Have a lot of respect for them. Good to see them go down. But I do love the fight and passion that they have, showing that they can go up against anybody. Another team that is up on the rise is James Madison. James Madison goes into Virginia and defeats Virginia 36-35, scored 12 unanswered points in the fourth quarter after giving up 21 in the third. But James Madison, man, what can you say? These guys was ranked last year. They lost their ranking to Georgia Southern, but they were ranked last year, and they just showing you that they belong. They belong. You gotta understand. 2 years ago, they was in the FCS, and look at them now. These guys belong, and they can go toe to toe with anybody as well. So it's good to see them, make a statement in the state of Virginia. Now, as we go to the next game, Texas State. Texas State drops to UTSA. I was watching this game because Texas State was like the team to watch out for in the Sun Belt West. And Texas State has a phenomenal quarterback over there. But I will say that they just came up short and they couldn't put nothing together. UTSA lost their quarterback at some point of the game, and I thought it was all over because the backup came in and I didn't know how things were going. But, the quarterback ends up with 214 yards and a touchdown. Their running back, Barnes, had 103 yards rushing. And they basically controlled the rest of the game, throughout the second half. And they go with a 20-13 win. Kind of gave you a blueprint on how to beat Texas State. So they may, after beating Baylor, hey, they may not be as strong as you think. So, all right, so let's go ahead and get into the next game. Marshall plays East Carolina, and Marshall take care of business, scoring 21 unanswered points in the fourth quarter, beating them 31-13. Not much to talk about there. They are 2-0 on the season, which is quite awesome to see. South Alabama, another team that's supposed to be a favorite. They beat Southeast Louisiana FCS team. You kind of know how that was going to go. Kind of closer than I thought it would be, but hey, Southeast Louisiana put up a fight. Not too bad. Their quarterback actually looked pretty good. 1 touchdown, 1 interception, threw for 267, which is actually pretty impressive. The game that we were talking about yesterday on the show, UAB goes down to Georgia Southern. They go to Paulson, loses 35-49, our Georgia Southern Eagles take care of business. Zeno threw for 385, but it wasn't enough because our defense stepped up at the right time, had a couple of good turnovers, and that's what you need to win certain games. And I knew this game was going to be a shootout, and really that second quarter was the difference maker. We pretty much handled business in the second quarter, not letting these guys get any confidence. It could have been a much worse game, but we end up holding on, go to 2-0 on the season. Louisiana, I don't know what to think about this team. I thought this team was going to be one of the top teams in the West, but looking like they may not. I don't know. They lost their first game in conference play to Old Dominion, 31-38. I don't know. Maybe they can bounce back. Don't know. Woolridge for UL looked pretty decent, 285 for 2 touchdowns, and but the running game for the Old Dominion Monarchs looks pretty good. They ran for 103 yards and a little bit of balance with Murphy with 2 catches. Well, I ain't gonna say too much of a balance. Look like 2 big plays, 2 catches for 97 yards and 2 touchdowns. And Coastal Carolina goes up against Jacksonville State, beat them 30-16. Kind of saw that coming. Was not really a surprise there. Grayson McCall had 268 and 1 touchdown, and 1 carry for 77 yards for the wide receiver. And he had 93 yards receiving. So, look, he had a pretty big day for Coastal Carolina. Georgia State goes up against UConn. I'm actually surprised this game was this lopsided. I know I am a little bit biased. I don't care for Georgia State, but Georgia State does handle business, beating UConn 35-14 and starting 2-0 on the season, which is actually not that bad. This is basically they done the unexpected. I didn't expect them to win the first 2 games. I actually thought Rhode Island was going to beat them, which that was a little bit of controversy behind that. But like I said, if you've seen what happened with that game, you know what I mean. But yeah, they end up going 35-14. Solid win for them. And let's see, last 2 games on deck, we got Memphis beating Arkansas State 37-13. And I'm gonna be honest, I think this is probably, I want to say this is probably the worst team in the Sunbelt, Arkansas State. Shout out to Alex Rayner. He's a former kicker for Georgia Southern's down there at Memphis now. Basically, we got they took Alex Rayner. We got JC French, and it looks like they just dominated this game. Hennigan, 239, 2 touchdowns. Cross had a fairly good game with 57 yards 57 yards rushing, and 1 big catch by T-Dub, 1 catch, 52 yards for 1 touchdown. Arkansas State may win a game or 2, I'm not sure, but after the last game they had, I don't know what's going to happen with them as far as this team. Last but not least, we have Lamar dropping to UL Monroe, and UL Monroe look like they're bouncing back. They're 2-0 on the season. Looks pretty good so far. We'll really know what type of team we'll have once conference play starts. But right now, man, this is what you have. UL Monroe is basically the team to, I ain't gonna say they're the team to beat, but they're the surprise team of the Sunbelt. So I'll get into standings once we get into conference play, because right now I don't think standings mean anything. I'll have a graphic up for the standings once we get into deep into conference play, so we'll know exactly what we're dealing with when it comes to who's going to be in the running for the Sun Belt championship game, or who's going to be the best team out of the conference, and whatever the case may be. So that's basically where we're at right now. Look like a pretty strong outing for the Sun Belt, or all things considered. I mean, we got a Power 5 win here, a statement game here by Georgia Southern, and all the other teams, for the most part, the teams that you expect, they basically take care of business. So let me know what you guys think. I'll be back with week 3. Also, don't forget the podcast will be up on Monday through Friday here on the channel. I basically talk about Georgia Southern and Atlanta Falcons football, and all things considered, Georgia Southern and Atlanta Falcons won. So this is going to be a pretty good week going into our next game. So hopefully you guys hang around. If you like it, like I said, hit the like button, share this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys on the next one. All right, y'all. Y'all enjoy the rest of y'all night. Peace.